Welcome to the channel again. Today we are talking about a Nepali poem translated in English by Michael Hutt. The title of the poem is No Smoke from Chimneys. It is a poem by a great Nepali literature and poet Siddhicharan Shrestha. He is also called the epoch poet. In our today's discussion, we shall be talking about the introduction of the poem as a whole. There will be summary of the text, the analysis will be made, and that will be supportive for your 4 levels of reading, and especially critical commentary and the interpretation. Then there will be further discussion. Further discussion is related to the textual questions given in the book. That is flax golden tails here. I am sure you will accompany me till the end of this video. If you are new to my channel, my always same request, repeated request is please subscribe my channel and let me move ahead in the path of this kind of contribution that I would like to help those students who are in need of such classes, those videos or discussion classes that will help them when they are deprived of the classes because of this pandemic and other circumstances in the country context of Nepal like this. Okay. So, here we go, let us get going with the introduction of the poem. There is the title is No Smoke from the Chimneys. Poet, epoch poet Siddhicharan Shrestha. The poem was published in Nepali language in Nepal, and it was translated into English by English citizen and the poet and professor Michael Hutt. The genre is poetry and the sub-genre is politics. This is particularly focused on politics and these issues that are that are brought forth by the politician and political activities. Then the theme of the poem is fighting for freedom against the shackles of slavery, oppression, dictatorship and injustice, and fighting for human dignity as a whole. Let us say figures of speech. Here is apostrophe. The speaker is addressing to the death and the speaker is addressing to the lady here, and 2 stanzas, and that is and the lady and the death both are symbolic, and the blood or no smoke, smoke, blood, and so many symbols are used. All these are related to the theme of politics, theme of freedom, equality, liberty, fraternity, dignity of labor, dignity of and the sense of humanity, all these things. The tone of the poem is rebel. It sounds or rebel is speaking to the death and to the lady here, and it's bold, adamant, and there is no fear in the speaker. There is a kind of boldness, and he is speaking with his courage. He is not fearing anything here. What to fear? If you are there for revolution, if you are there for sacrifice, what to fear? Does death harm you? Because you are sacrificing for the nation. The blood, your blood is demanded for the nation's freedom, equality. At that time, and you are voluntarily and with your full patriotism, and you are sacrificing your blood for the nation, you are sacrificing your life for the nation. In such a situation, your voice doesn't sound like a liberal person's or meek person's voice. You are speaking with with bold voice, loud voice, and with confidence. So that's here is we can have a tone of the poem here, and here is a poem. No smoke from the chimney. I don't have time, death, do not call me. I don't have time to mop up the blood from a broken head. Lady, do not detain my advancing feet. I have no time for your brandishments. The people of my country have concealed their mills and are struggling. Look. So, these 4 lines in one stanza, another 4 lines in another stanza, only 2 stanza structure, and these 4 lines here in first stanza talks about freedom, and here is death, the speaker is addressing to the death, and in the second stanza again he is addressing to the lady. In both stanza he says that I am not a meek person. I have come in the field, I have come in the street to fight against the prevalent political system, and nobody dares to stop me. Okay? I am advancing my feet for democracy, my feet for liberty, my feet for fraternity, my feet against injustice, torture, and all these oppression. I want freedom at any cost, and nobody can challenge me, nobody can stop, nobody dares to stop me, because I am against the prevalent political system. If the political system of the time has been in favor of the people of the country, I would not have come in the street, and I would not fight like this. I would not be advancing like this, and I would not be challenging death and the lady here. Both are symbolic of death here. Both are, and here the poet is making the speaker. His speaker is so bold and so adamant, and he is advancing his fate, and he does not like to come back, because all the people of the country are quitting their mills and they are struggling for freedom, for liberty. They want democracy, and they want the uproot of this anarchy. They do not want, and if they do not want to go, and why should I stay at home? So, I am also in the street. So, I am together with them. I may be leading them, and the day will come when there will be freedom. Okay, here we go with the summary. The speaker of the poem addresses to death that he does not have time to go with him. He does not have time to wash up the blood from the broken head. He addresses to the lady that he does not have time for love. So, he requests her not to stop his advancing feet. They have cancelled their meals too and sacrificed their lives. The speaker says that he has no time to fall into the grip of death. Meanwhile, he is aware of the fact that the condition of his country people who have stopped eating their meals and are struggling, and is struggling against autocracy. He fears that death comes and drags him before he along with his people make the country free from shackles of oppression, slavery, dictatorship and injustice. Okay. This is the summary of the poem. Now, let me discuss the poem in Nepali. नेपालीमा अनुवाद यसरी गरिएछ। धुरीबाट नआएको धुवा, सिद्धिचरण श्रेष्ठ। युग कवि सिद्धिचरण श्रेष्ठको यो जुन कविता धुवा नआएको धुरी अथवा धुरीबाट नआएको धुवा, यो कविता जम्मा 2टा अनुच्छेद र 2 चतुष्पदी हरफमा लेखिएको एउटा युग बोकेको, एउटा युगको परिवर्तन बोकेको एउटा कविता हो। युग कविले युगको आवाज यस कविता मार्फत व्यक्त गर्नुभएको छ। यहाँ कविको एउटा पात्र छ, त्यो पात्र म पात्र हो। त्यो म पात्रले आफूलाई समय मृत्युसँग जाने समय नभएको, अहिले मृत्युसँग जाने समय नभइसकेको, त्यही भएर मृत्यु तिमी मलाई अहिले नबोलाऊ, म अहिले तिमीसँग जान सक्दिनँ, किनभने म यति व्यस्त छु, मलाई ती यहाँ आएको रगत, टाउकोबाट बगेको रगत पुस्ने फुर्सद पनि छैन। फुटेका टाउका आन्दोलनमा चाहिँ एउटा आन्दोलनकारीको रूपमा प्रस्तुत भएका मेरा साथीहरूको टाउकोबाट फुटेको रगत, टाउको प्रहरीले ज्यादती गर्दाखेरि, प्रहरीले लाठीचार्ज गर्दाखेरि, प्रहरीले मनपरी गर्दाखेरि, अब अत्याचार गर्दाखेरि, दमन गर्दाखेरि तिनका टाउकामा बज्रिएको लट्ठी र तिनका टाउकामा बज्रिएका विभिन्न अब प्रजातन्त्र विरोधी तत्त्वहरूबाट चाहिँ बज्रिएका विभिन्न कुराहरूले फुटेका टाउकाको रगत मलाई पुस्ने समय छैन। हे देवी, डु नट डिटेन माई एडभान्सिङ। मेरा यी अगाडि बढेका पाइलाहरू, कदमहरूलाई तिमी रोक्ने कोसिस नगर, मलाई बन्द गर्ने कोसिस नगर, मलाई थुन्ने कोसिस नगर। म तिम्रो यी झुट्टा प्रशंसाका शब्दहरू मलाई चाहिँ एउटा मेरो पक्षमा गाइएका ती प्रायोजित प्रशंसा गीतहरू मलाई चाहिएको छैन। मलाई त्यो सुन्ने समय पनि छैन। झुटा प्रशंसाका शब्दहरू सुनेर म त्यहाँ भुल्नेवाला पनि छैन। म एउटा विद्रोही हुँ। म विद्रोही हुँ। म देशको स्वतन्त्रताको लागि, म यहाँको जनताको स्वतन्त्रताको लागि लडेको छु। म हिँडेँ भनेपछि हिँडेँ, तिमीले रोक्न मिल्दैन। मसँग कुनै समय छैन। मेरा देशका नागरिकहरू, मेरा देशका जनताहरू, उनीहरूले आफ्नो खाना खान छोडे। सडकमा आइसकेपछि उनीहरू आफ्नो घर गएर खाना खान पनि छोडे, पानी पिउन पनि छोडे। उनीहरू अहिले सङ्घर्षको मैदानमा लडिरहेछन्, स्वतन्त्रताको लागि लडिरहेछन्, समानताको लागि लडिरहेछन्, श्रमको सम्मानको लागि लडिरहेछन्, मानवताको लागि लडिरहेछन्, अत्याचार विरुद्ध लडिरहेछन्, दमन विरुद्ध, दुराचार विरुद्ध, अन्याय, ज्यादती र अमानवीय व्यवहार विरुद्ध लडिरहेछन्, प्रजातन्त्र विरोधी तत्त्वहरूका विरुद्ध लडिरहेछन्, स्वतन्त्रता, समानता र मानवताको लागि लडिरहेछन्। त्यस्ता मेरा नागरिकहरूले आफ्नो खाना त्यागेर घर घरमा उनीहरू चाहिँ उनीहरूको घरको चाहिँ धुरीबाट धुवाँ आउनै छोडिसक्यो। उनीहरू सबले चाहिँ आफ्नो घर सब त्यागेर अब त्यो घरभित्र यो आन्दोलन नसकिन्जेलसम्म घरभित्र नपस्ने प्रण गरिसकेका छन्। त्यस्ता मान्छेहरू त सडकमा आइसकेका छन् भने म चाहिँ तिमीसँग डराएर तिमीले मलाई रोकेर म रोकिन्छु? हे मृत्यु, हे मैया अथवा देवी, तिमी दुवैजना मलाई रोक्ने कोसिस नगर। तिमीहरू मलाई बोलाउने कोसिसै नगर। म तिमीहरूसँग जाने समयमै छैन। म त देशको स्वतन्त्रता, यी नागरिकहरूको स्वतन्त्रता, दमन, दुराचार, अन्याय, ज्यादती, अमानवीय व्यवहार विरुद्ध, अत्याचार विरुद्ध म स्वतन्त्रता, समानता अनि समता, मानवता, श्रमको सम्मान र सबै जे कुराहरू चाहिँ प्रजातन्त्रमा प्राप्त हुन्छन्, ती प्रजातन्त्रमा प्राप्त हुने कुराहरूको पक्षमा मेरा जनताहरू आएका छन्। हेर त, ती सडकमा कसरी चाहिँ आएका छन्। तिनका कतिका टाउका फुकेका छन्, कति महिलाहरू छोराछोरी लिएर हिँडेका छन्, कति पुरुषहरू हिँडेका छन्। सबैले चाहिँ बोलिरहेछन् प्रजातन्त्र जिन्दाबाद, प्रजातन्त्र जिन्दाबाद, राणाशाही मुर्दाबाद, प्रजातन्त्र जिन्दाबाद भनेर भनिरहेछन् भने म घर बस्नै? हेर त मेरा नागरिकहरू कसरी लडेका छन्, खाना छोडेर लडेका छन्। उनीहरूको चाहिँ अहिले घर घरकोमा प्रत्येकको घरबाट चाहिँ धुवाँ आउनु पर्थ्यो माथि चिम्नी अथवा चाहिँ धुरीबाट। खोइ त किन प्रत्येकको घरमा चिम्नीबाट चाहिँ धुवाँ आउनु पर्ने किन आएन? यी सब जनताहरू गएर भान्सामा होइन सडकमा छन्, आन्दोलनको विरुद्धमा छन्। यी चाहिँ यो राज्यको चाहिँ यो जुन प्रजातन्त्रको विरुद्धमा छन्, आन्दोलनको पक्षमा छन्, यसरी हिँडिरहेछन्। ओके, अब स्वतन्त्रता, समानता, श्रमको सम्मान, मानवता, यी सबैको पक्षमा अहिले नागरिकहरू लडेका छन्। त्यसो भएर तिमीले बोलायो भन्दैमा म तिम्रो पछि जानेवाला छैन। हे मृत्यु, हे देवी, तिमीहरू अहिले चुप लागेर बस। तिमीहरूले मलाई लान मिल्दैन। म तिमीहरूसँग जान योग्य छैन, अहिले तिमीहरूसँग जान म तयार छैन, म आन्दोलनको पक्षमा छु, म प्रजातन्त्रको पक्षमा छु, म स्वतन्त्रताको पक्षमा छु, म लडिरहेको छु, यो ज्यादती विरुद्ध लडिरहेको छु, यो राणाशाहीको चाहिँ अत्याचार विरुद्ध लडिरहेको छु, यिनीहरूको परिवारको स्वार्थको लागि चाहिँ यिनीहरूले देशको चाहिँ एउटा मनपरी गर्ने चाहिँ विरुद्ध पद्धति विरुद्ध लडिरहेको छु, म अब देशको लागि लडिरहेको छु, त्यसकारण मलाई नरोक। Okay, now here is analysis. This poem, No Smoke from Chimneys, written by Siddhicharan Shrestha, the epoch poet of Nepali literature. It was translated by Michael Hart into English. In this poem, the poet expresses the struggles made by a freedom fighter as the speaker. The speaker tells that he is busy wiping up blood from a broken head so that death may not call him. The people who are engaging in the protest against prevailing political entity are seriously injured. Nevertheless, they are not afraid. The people are determined for freedom and injustice, showing no care and concern to the regular meals. They have not allocated time for cooking the meal either, and they have not stayed in their homes and eating meals there. He cannot remain far from that mission. Therefore, nothing, including the ladies or death culling, can stop the speaker's advancing feet or distract him from taking part in a protest. The speaker of this poem may be trying to tell us that freedom is more important than food or fear of death. Therefore, people do not get diverted and distressed to stop the movements once they have come out of their house to the street. The theme of the poem is politics. It describes the time when Nepali people were struggling against the anarchy. Though the people were there on the street, death was calling them. The lady was calling them in her enticement, but these people did not go, and the rebels, they were the rebels, they did not go. And Nepalese people were struggling against anarchy. Through this poem, the poet is appealing each and every Nepalese citizen to join the movement, leaving everything behind, albeit you are hungry or thirsty. Whether you are hungry or thirsty, it is not the matter of concern. The whole nation is hungry, the whole nation is thirsty, the whole nation is under this oppression and under this torture and tyranny, and we have to revolt against that. So the poet is making the speaker call upon that. The speaker of the poem is very much concerned about democratic freedom, equality, opportunity, equality of opportunity, and party system where family does not rule the country. People who take part in politics, who are elected through the people, can become the executive members, not the people by birth. The movement are for noble causes, that's liberty, equality, justice, democracy, humanity and dignity. That's the pure causes and these organic causes for democracy, fighting why people were on the street. The mood of the poem is revolutionary. It reflects revolutionary spirit of Nepalese people against the autocratic rule of the Ranas. This poem also captures the devotion, dedication and determination of Nepali people to uproot the Ranarchy from the soil of Nepal. Though this poem reflects the mood of revolution, it does not present it so forcefully that the poem bribe much, as it stresses about the liberty, equality and dignity against injustice, oppression, slavery and dictatorship. However, I have some questions to raise. Why does the speaker call a particular lady there as an obstacle? Are women against democracy? Why does he confuse the lady with the death? Death as an antagonist force is pretended in the first stanza, whereas lady is presented as an antagonist force in the second stanza of the poem. Why does he equate the death with the lady? Though this poem reflects the mood of revolution, it does not present it so forcefully. Is it possible for people to join the movement without having meal? Without cooking meal all the time? Did people quit food for democracy? Why are people cancelling or quitting their meals for of living? Why are they leaving everything because they are the means of living? These questions seem to be quite relevant here in the context of the poem. Anyway, this is a wonderful poem that focuses on the value of democracy, freedom, justice, equality and humanity. Okay, here are some questions regarding this study of the poem here, and let me discuss the first question here. How is No Smoke from Chimneys a political poem? How does it talk about democracy against Rana regime? This is a political poem, as I mentioned here earlier. It describes a time when Nepalese people were struggling for democracy against Ranarchy. In this very short poem of 8 lines, the speaker seems to be a freedom fighter, rebel, who wants to free the country and his fellow citizens from the shackles of oppression, slavery, dictatorship and injustice. He wants to make the revolution successful before he falls into grip of death. According to the speaker, when the Nepalese people were struggling for democracy against the Rana regime, they had cancelled their meals and sacrificed their lives, so no smoke could be seen from the chimneys. The speaker says that he has no time to fall into the grip of death. He is busy struggling against autocracy and suppression. He is busy mopping up the blood from the broken head of the suppressed people who are on the street and who are for freedom. The speaker fears death. He requires death not to call him, not to detain his advancing feet before the success of revolution. He wants the revolution a success, then he can go or he can listen to anybody. But before the revolution becomes successful, he doesn't want to go with death. So, he wants death and this lady to listen to him until revolution's success. They will not detain, they will not call and detain the speaker or the rebel here in the poem. They have no time to think about the thirst, hunger, anything here, and no scorching sun or no matter, no rainfall, no scorching sun, no other climatic conditions, whatever they were, all these people were on the street. The speaker seems to be a political rebel. He seems to attack the suppression, dictatorship, injustice, inequality, cruelty, etc. under the Rana regime. In this poem, death may refer to the cruel Rana ruler who put the innocent general people into their grips. And the next question here, what does the phrase in line 4, the blood from the broken head, mean? फुटेको टाउकोबाट बगेको रगत. What does it mean? The speaker says that when the Nepalese people were struggling for democracy, they were against the Rana regime. They had cancelled their meals and sacrificed their lives, so no smoke could be seen from the chimney. For the speaker that he has no time to fall in the grip of death, he is struggling against autocracy. So, while struggling against autocracy, the police will use the stick or the lathi. Police will make the lathi charge, and with this lathi, the stick that will be charged against those people who are fighting for democracy, and there will be suppression, the torture, the injustice and the inhumanity here, and they will let, or they will make the people broken head, and the head of these rebels or the freedom fighters, the head of those people who were on the street and calling for democracy and shouting for democracy, and while shouting for democracy they were saying downfall with the Ranas, hail democracy, downfall Ranarchy, and long live democracy, downfall with Ranarchy. When these slogans were shouted, the Rana rulers did not like, and they used their police, and these police were inhumanly, blindly hit on the or charged their lathis or sticks on the heads. And what happened? The result was the heads of those Nepalese who were on the street asking for democracy, pleading for democracy, fighting for democracy, their heads will be bloody, full of blood. The blood from the broken head refers to the bloodshed, cruelty, suppression, death, tyranny, etc. during the time of Rana regime. Okay, here we have another questions. Who is the intended audience in the poem? What in general context of the poem? What is the general context of the poem? What is the mood of the poem? Okay. Here, in this very short poem of just 2 stanzas, 8 lines, the speaker seems to be a freedom fighter, as already mentioned here, who wants to free his country and fellow citizens from the shackles of oppression, slavery, dictatorship and injustice. He wants all these people involved, and definitely the people have cancelled their meals. They came on the street and they shouted for democracy, they shouted against anarchy, and they wanted freedom, they wanted humanity, and they wanted equality, they wanted freedom, they wanted no suppression, no autocracy, no torture, no bloodshed, no cruelty, no suppression. Positive attitude to the people, their ideas be addressed, their voice to be heard, they wanted that. And here he wants to make the revolution successful before he falls into the grip of death. Before he falls as the prey of death, here death may refer to the cruel Rana rulers who put the innocent general people into their grip. Larry in the second stanza may also refer to death, as death is often presented as a woman with long dark hair wearing red and black clothes. That is symbolic in Sanskrit literature. This is a political poem, as it talks about, it describes a time when the Nepalese people were in the turbulence of his time. In simple and calm words, the tone of the poem is serious and sarcastic. Okay, the bold, serious and sarcastic tone we have here in the poem. The next question here, describe the character of the poem on the basis of what he says in the poem. So, here is a bold character. He satirically and sarcastically makes a comment on these Ranas. Yeah? And in this poem, Siddhicharan Shrestha articulates the hopes and frustrations of politically suppressed people who were struggling for democracy. In 1940, he wrote, "There can be no peace without revolution." For this, the Rana rulers sentenced him to 18 years of detention. After his fortunate release from jail in 1944, continued writing about poverty, injustice, untouchability and other social issues of the time. All these things that his poems capture, and these make him the epoch poet, Yug Kavi. His voice represents the whole epoch, not only his personal or some people representative, but it is about the epoch. In this political poem, the poet describes the time of these Nepalese people who were struggling for democracy against the Ranas. The poet expresses a turbulence of his time, and here he wants his citizens to break the shackles of oppression, go against slavery, uproot dictatorship and injustice, and establish justice and democracy. He wants to make the revolution successful before he falls in the grip of death. He is a rebel, he is a freedom fighter, he is a true Nepali citizen who wanted democracy. He knew what these Ranas were doing against the Nepalese people, what advantages that Nepalese, or what rights these Nepalese people had to get, but they were deprived, they were denied. And this freedom fighter is the person who is the fighter of justice, a fighter for rights, human rights, fundamental rights and other rights, civil rights, let us say. He is such a rebel, he is such a citizen, and he knew the voice, the representative voice. The speaker says that when the Nepalese people were struggling for democracy against the Ranarchy, they had cancelled their meals and sacrificed their lives. So, no smoke could be seen from the chimneys. The speaker said that he has no time to fall in the grip of death. He is busy struggling against autocracy. He is busy mopping up the blood from the broken head of the suppressed people. He is busy fighting for democracy. He is busy helping the people or making the people aware against the Ranas and their oppression. And he is the people who should not miss the opportunity to fight against democracy. He requests death to call him not to detain his advancing feet before the success of revolution. He said that the people of his country are sacrificing everything for peace, equality, freedom, justice, democracy and humanity. They have no time to think about hunger, thirst, cold, scorching sun or hurricane or any natural changes here. In such a critical time, the speaker said that he has no time to hear any flattering words. He requests death not to interfere his advancing feet until the revolution becomes successful, until the people of the country or these demonstrators or the rebels see the sunshine of democracy, when they get the sun rays of democracy early in the morning. He wants that, and then only after when these all people will say, see, enjoy the rays of democracy early in the morning. In the winter days, how important, how lovely these sun rays or sunbeams would become. In the whole, we can estimate that the speaker is a political rebel, a freedom fighter and a genius. He wants to sacrifice every thing for the sake of freedom, justice, peace, harmony, fraternity, humanity and the pursuit of happiness for his country and his fellow citizens. Okay. With this discussion, I have come to the end of today's video discussion of Siddhicharan Shrestha's poem No Smoke from the Chimneys. I am sure you got the points. If you have any query, you can put your ideas in my comment box. Thank you very much for your time and thank you very much for your patience. Please don't forget to subscribe, share and drop a like to my channel and video, and I want your support, I want your effort and I want your contribution for the success of my discussion, success of my channel. So I will be back with another video. Till then, have a nice time.